What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Saturday, January 27th, 2024, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and what you're looking at here is some footage coming out of Texas. This came out yesterday showing more Texas National Guard being deployed to the border with Mexico in defiance of Biden and the Supreme Court, who have told Texas to remove their National Guard from the border and to remove some razor wire and allow the Border Patrol to take over. And we have some unconfirmed video footage coming out of Texas or somewhere near Texas showing massive amounts of tanks and Bradley fighting vehicles and Humvees. I can't confirm the location of this video, but this is a recent video. I don't know if this is related to the situation in Texas or if this is related to the massive NATO exercise in Eastern Europe, where NATO is holding the largest exercise since 1988. Look at all these tanks, though, guys. Massive amounts of Bradleys and Abrams tanks on this train. So I don't know if this is related to the border situation or if this is related to the NATO exercise, but this was filmed recently. And here we have some more footage, allegedly in some kind of military warehouse in Texas. So it's very possible that Greg Abbott has put his heavy equipment on high alert. Okay. These are M1 Abrams, guys. Okay. So maybe Greg Abbott is preparing for an all out war with the U.S. government. And here we have a convoy of U.S. military Humvees supposedly in Texas. I don't know if these are the National Guard forces from Oklahoma or some of the other states that said they were going to send some of their forces to Texas, but wanted to just share this with you. Okay, this is unconfirmed. You can see here multiple Humvees. There's another Humvee right there. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. It's probably like 2 or 3 dozen Humvees just in this one video. Okay. So things are really escalating on the border with Mexico. The governor of Texas, Greg Abbott, is actually wrapping up a trip to India. So he's actually not in Texas right now. And we have breaking news coming in that the Idaho governor, Brad Little, has announced that he's going to be dispatching 2 teams of state troopers to southern Texas to the border with Mexico. Okay, so Idaho Governor Brad Little deploying 2 teams of Idaho state troopers to Texas. And the Biden administration allegedly threatened the Texas authorities and told them to take radical actions against the local National Guard. Now, there was a 24-hour deadline that the Biden administration gave to the Texas National Guard, and that deadline expired on midnight last night. So I don't know what's going to happen now, guys. I don't know if they're going to deploy U.S. military forces down to Texas, and if there's going to be just an all-out war between Texas and the U.S. government. I don't know, guys. Or is Biden going to federalize the National Guard? Here's a tweet that was posted by Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, yesterday evening. He said, Texas will continue to exercise its constitutional right to protect and defend our southern border. In President Biden's absence, we will hold the line to keep Texans and Americans safe. And then we had former Texas gubernatorial candidate, a Democrat, Joaquin Castro calling for Biden to federalize the Texas National Guard in a tweet yesterday evening. He wrote, Governor Greg Abbott is using the Texas National Guard to obstruct and create chaos at the border. If Abbott is defying yesterday's Supreme Court ruling, the President of the United States needs to establish sole federal control of the Texas National Guard now. So lots of Democrats now coming out and calling for Biden to federalize the Texas National Guard. And what you're looking at here is a picture from the 2015 military exercise here in the U.S. known as Jade Helm. And what's interesting about the Jade Helm exercise was that it was a red team, blue team exercise, which basically means you have, cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians, okay? And you have some people playing the Indians, some people playing the cowboys, okay? And it's basically a war game. And they had Utah and Texas as the bad guys in this war game that they did. And California, Nevada, and Colorado were the good guys. And so this was under the Obama administration. So they could have already prepared for this almost 10 years ago, guys. Okay. This was already planned for and prepared for long ago. And so in this exercise, the U.S. SOCOM, the Special Operations Command, practiced dealing with a secession situation, an insurrection situation. They were practicing airborne landings in large cities. They actually had entire sections of cities that were shut down so they could do these exercises where they would make airborne landings into big cities and practice going through the cities and clearing them out building by building. So they've already prepared for this situation, guys. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. We have some major breaking news coming in from Israel. Apparently, Lebanese media, citing Israeli media sources, is saying that the Netanyahu government will declare war on Hezbollah very soon. And they said within hours. There's also reports that the Israeli media is deploying massive amounts of military equipment and logistics close to the border with Lebanon. And remember, a few days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, that Israel completed a massive medical exercise with hospitals and clinics in northern Israel. They practiced dealing with a mass casualty situation, okay? Thousands and thousands of casualties. And the Israeli army says that it just finished training exercises in northern Israel with the aim of raising combat readiness and testing readiness for confrontation with Hezbollah. Okay. There were several rocket alerts in northern Israel last night along the border with Lebanon. There was a massive barrage of heavy missiles that impacted several areas in northern Israel last night. There were several loud kabooms also reported in southern Lebanon, and Israeli media confirmed that a Hezbollah Birkin rocket landed on a room in the Zarit barracks, which house Israeli troops. Okay, so a massive exchange of missile fire last night between Israel and Hezbollah. And the Houthis recently conducted a large military exercise in which they simulated an attack on tanks of the Israeli army. Apparently, they're preparing for a ground operation against Israel. Wow, guys. So the Houthis are preparing to invade Israel now. And I want to just show you guys some of the flights over the U.S. right now. We currently have a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane up in the air over South Texas. It was actually doing loops out here in the Gulf for the last few hours. And last night we had a U.S. Air Force Combat Sentry land in Okinawa, Japan. Now, the U.S. Air Force only has 2 of these planes, and these planes are responsible for providing intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance directly to the president and the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay, so this is a special reconnaissance plane for the U.S. president and his top generals, and it just arrived in Japan, in Okinawa, and we only have 2 of them. Okay, so if they move one of these somewhere, it means something is going down or about to go down. I don't know if this is related to Taiwan. I don't know if this is related to North Korea. And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply has brought back their 25% discount on their 3-month emergency food supply. And to get the deal, you have to go to preparewithnyprepper.com, and the link is in the description below this video. And this 3-month emergency food supply has a 25-year shelf life and includes over 2,000 calories per day. All of this food is stored within 6 rugged, water-resistant buckets, and free shipping is included. And My Patriot Supply is also doing a 30% discount on the Vesta self-powered indoor space heater and stove. With this thing, you can safely heat and cook indoors. You don't have to worry about carbon monoxide poisoning. You don't have to worry about burning your house down. It uses special canned heat, and it comes with 24 cans. Each can will last you 6 hours and can warm up a room of 200 square feet. So to get the deal, also go to preparewithnyprepper.com. And also, My Patriot Supply has a general store where they sell all kinds of prepping and survival items. To get to that store, you just click on the My Patriot Supply logo at the top of the page, and it'll take you to their general store, and they have all different kinds of discounts here on various items. They have MREs, they have water filters, they have potassium iodides, fire starters, anything you can imagine. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of the My Patriot Supply 3-month emergency food supply and 30% off of the Vesta indoor space heater and stove. But the situation in Asia is escalating, and here we have some video footage that was provided by the Israeli military showing their exercise in northern Israel, where they practiced for an invasion of southern Lebanon to go after Hezbollah. And apparently, U.S. strategy for Ukraine in 2024 does not provide for the return of territories, but rather a move to a defensive posture, according to the Washington Post. So the Biden administration is no longer going to help Ukraine take back the land that they lost from Russia. They're just going to give Ukraine the bare minimum that they need to hold the lines where they are now. Okay. So just another screw up by the Biden administration. Look at all the chaos around the world. Okay. Since Biden took office, okay, we have Ukraine getting invaded, losing 30% of their territory. We have war in the Middle East now. We have the situation in the Red Sea. We have North Korea testing all kinds of missiles and military equipment and threatening to invade South Korea now. We have China threatening to invade Taiwan, just total chaos. And then here in the country, we have the standoff at the Mexican border. And the Chancellor of Germany, Olaf Scholz, is supposed to visit the U.S. in early February to meet with Biden to discuss aid for Ukraine. But don't get your hopes up, guys. It's probably just going to be the bare minimum, like I said. The French Union of Farmers has announced that it will organize a complete blockade of Paris and its suburbs in order to prevent the supply of goods to the capital. The blockade will start this Monday evening and will last for at least 5 days. They plan to block all major highways going into Paris, okay? This is huge, guys, okay? French farmers are going to be blockading the capital of France. That is huge, all right? And we have reports coming in that last night a U.S. base in eastern Syria was allegedly attacked by armed men, And today, the Iranian proxies in Iraq claimed responsibility for launching drones at another U.S. airbase. And the British jet fuel tanker Martin Luanda was hit by a Houthi missile last night, and that forced the entire crew to abandon ship. And what you're looking at here is a picture showing this massive fire on the ship. Okay, and this is a jet fuel tanker. They had to abandon ship because this thing is loaded with I don't know how many gallons of jet fuel. Okay, so this is not good, guys. This is probably the first time since all these attacks in the Red Sea started that a crew of a ship had to completely abandon. This is unprecedented. Okay, and they hit this tanker full of jet fuel. I mean, think about the pollution that's going to cause, all that jet fuel going into the ocean. And here we have apparently a radio transmission from the crew of this ship, and this is their Mayday call. Listen.
Warship, this is Martin Luanda. We are hit by a missile. We are hit by a missile. We are on fire. We are on fire. Starboard side deck is on fire. Warship, this is Martin Luanda. We are hit by a missile. We are hit by a missile. We are on fire. We are on fire. Starboard side deck is on fire. Warship, this is Martin Luanda. We are hit by a missile. We are hit by a missile. We are on fire. We are on fire. Starboard side deck is on fire.
He said starboard deck is on fire, which is consistent with this picture. This is the starboard side. Okay, so this is a legit picture, guys. And he's calling the warship, saying, warship, we are on fire. We were hit by a missile, fire on the starboard side. So this is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous what's going on in the Red Sea. We keep doing these little operations against the Houthis that are just not cutting it, okay? Also, one of our warships was attacked by the Houthis yesterday. Apparently, they launched an anti-ship ballistic missile towards the USS Carney, and the USS Carney shot it down. I think that's the 30th missile that the USS Carney has shot down that was aimed at it. And there was another ship that was targeted yesterday. The merchant vessel Achilles reported 2 missiles exploding in the water off its port quarter with no damage or injuries. Okay, so several missile attacks yesterday in the Red Sea, and we're not hearing anything about it from the mainstream media. We're not hearing anything about it from the U.S. military, the U.S. government. They're being quiet about it. Okay, they're trying to minimize the situation because they know it's embarrassing. And Ukraine will start construction work on 4 new nuclear reactors this summer. This was reported by the energy minister, German Galashenko. And the Pentagon has approved the sale of F-35s to Greece at an estimated price of $8.6 billion. And the U.S. Department of State also announced the approval of a $23 billion sale of 40 new F-16s to Turkey. And Bulgaria started building a base for a new NATO brigade that will be permanently stationed in the country. The brigade will consist of 5,000 soldiers, and the base will be in the southeastern part of the country, according to the Bulgarian Ministry of Defense. Want to just show you guys this video coming out of Las Vegas showing a B-2 stealth bomber taking off from the airport in Las Vegas. And this is part of the red flag exercise, supposedly. But this is interesting. This shows basically a U.S. nuclear bomber practicing using civilian airports for landing and taking off, because during a nuclear war, all the bomber bases will be targeted by Russian nuclear weapons, and the bombers are going to have to use civilian airports to land. Okay, so this is clearly a preparation for nuclear war, practicing using civilian airports to land and take off. Okay, And China sent 33 planes and 6 naval vessels to Taiwan in the last 24 hours. 33 Chinese military planes, okay? That is a huge number. And we had some US and South Korean reconnaissance planes flying along the border with North Korea last night. Here's one flight path. You can see this plane here flying near Incheon. And then here's another one also flying near Incheon and going up towards the DMZ there. And I want to just show you guys some footage coming out of France of these farmers blocking roads. And look at this. This is just total insanity, guys. Okay, they're blocking roads. They're dumping trash in front of government buildings. So the situation in France is not looking good. All around Europe, basically, these farmers are protesting. They're protesting the EU taxes on diesel, all the new climate change initiatives that are harming farmers. Look how they're just dumping trash here in the middle of the road. Check that out. So the farmers are pissed off. Okay, their livelihood is being threatened by these bureaucrats, essentially trying to force climate change down their throats, down everybody's throats, and harming people's livelihoods in the process. Okay, here's some more footage coming out of France. Check this out. This is insane, guys. Look at this. They're just dumping stuff and causing all kinds of chaos. Look what they're doing. They flipped over this truck here with a tractor. Wow. That is crazy, guys. So it's a very serious situation over there, and it's not being reported by the mainstream media. Okay, and they're going to start this blockade of Paris tomorrow. I'm sorry, not tomorrow, Monday. And I'll definitely be covering that and updating you on that. And here we have this interesting transmission that came from Cuba. This was a Cuban numbers station. This was last night. And if you don't know what a numbers station is, these are basically transmissions to spies. Okay, a country will transmit coded messages, alphanumeric messages on publicly used frequencies around the world. And what the spies will do is they'll listen to those messages and then decode the message. And that's basically an easier and safer way for a spy's handlers to communicate with the spies rather than meeting them in person like they used to do. They would meet in person to exchange intelligence, or they would do a drop where they would go into like a public park and drop like documents in a garbage can somewhere, and then later the handler would come and pick it up, the case officer. But now they use number stations. So this is a Cuban number station, okay, broadcasting to Cuban spies. So let's just listen to this. It's pretty interesting. And it says 885, so I'm assuming that means 885. And this was picked up all the way in Italy, guys. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. I will be back later on this evening with more breaking news. I'm going to monitor the situation in Texas. I think it's going to really escalate in the coming days. There's no sign that Biden's going to back down. There's no sign that Greg Abbott is going to back down. So we could see a total showdown between Biden and Greg Abbott. So I'll definitely monitor the situation. And also, we have to be on high alert for Israel going into Lebanon any hour now. And if they do that, I will go live like I did last night. I'll go live 24/7 if I have to. So make sure you're subscribed. Hit the bell icon down below so you get notified when I post these updates. And until next time, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.